Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Garcia,
I'm Nick Nielsen.
and today we've got a big episode. Yankees finally got some action in, talking not just about spring training, or not even about spring training. We're talking about some regular season play. The Yankees had a pretty solid start to the season, all things considered. I think you would agree with me there. 4-3 after facing the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. That's a 92-93 win pace. That's a strong way to start your season.
And those are two of the best teams in the AL. We talked about it earlier in our predictions and discussing the AL and AL East specifically. Those two teams have very good offenses. I mean, we know their pitching. Blue Jays pitching was supposed to be like lights out rotation wise, but we hit them pretty well. Take away Manoah, and we hit their Blue Jays pitching really, really well. Red Sox, we were never worried about their starting pitching, but my God, Tanner Houck is absolutely filthy. So 4-3 against those caliber teams with their lineups, I'm very happy with. Like 2-1 against the Red Sox opening day weekend as well. That's big. That sets the tempo, that says, hey, we're here to stay. We're not going to roll over and die because we went down in every one of those games. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, and I know some people are concerned about the offense because it hasn't looked great, but I want to remind people the Yankees in terms of WRC plus. And since I don't have to sort this between pitchers and non-pitchers because everyone is the same in the league right now.
Thank God, dude. Universal
Yeah,
DH.
dude, sorting through that because I would write articles and stuff like, oh, the Yankees are in this position in terms of their offense, and then forget to put non-pitcher offense.
Yeah.
Just a
bit annoying. That's why I usually like to do the AL for the Yankees because it's like before the Universal DH, the NL was just like, okay, well, there's a free out.
So. Right. And so the Yankees right now, they're in 11th in WRC plus right now. And that on paper, it's like, oh, well, so they're like slightly above average. Like,
yeah, they're kind of middle of the pack.
But here's the interesting thing. The Yankees lead the league in barrels at 15.1%. The gap between first and second is 3.7%, which is a bigger gap than second place. And I believe it's like 20th or 21st, something like that.
That's
like
crazy.
The gap is massive, right? The gap is huge.
They're hitting the ball hard. They're just not getting the luck.
Yankees are hitting the ball on average 93.8 miles per hour. The Yankees, in terms of their plate discipline, they haven't been doing they've always been a really disciplined team. Like I've always loved that about the Yankees.
We take good at bats.
Right. So, right now they're chasing a little bit more than usual, but the Yankees are still walking a lot. So I'm not like super concerned. Your approach definitely changes in 2-strike counts.
Mm-hmm.
So I would the Yankees are walking 9% of the time, which is roughly league average, but they're hitting the crap out the ball.
Yeah.
So an expected weight on base average, they're supposed to have some positive regression. They've got guys hitting the ball hard, and I think that's going to be basically the difference between this year's offense and last year's offense.
I will say, and people may disagree with me on this, I'd much rather have my team offensively start off hitting the ball really hard, but not getting a lot to show for it, than a lot of soft contact that is resulting in hits and runs and bloopers. Because we even had a couple of those in the Blue Jays series finale yesterday with IKF and Trevino hitting a lot of soft contact that resulted in our only offense essentially for the entire game. But seeing like players like Gallo, Donaldson, Judge, and Rizzo absolutely hitting the crap out of the baseball is what you want to see right now. Like, and honestly, like I did an article for ESM. We talked about this a lot. Gallo is probably the unluckiest player in baseball. Like the dude just cannot catch a break. Even on his scorching single off the wall in the Boston series that he got thrown out trying to go to second on, that ball like 2 or 3 inches higher and he had a home run. And everyone's saying Joey Gallo, wow, what an absolute missile, instead of Joey Gallo with a base running mistake. So it's like, I feel bad for him. And that's kind of the Yankees offense right now. Like a lot of guys are getting unlucky. There are a lot of the good at bats. Josh Donaldson's putting together great at bats. Like yesterday, his first 2 at bats, he saw, I believe, 18 pitches. And then right after Judge and Rizzo swung on the first pitch. So it's like, well, we don't want that. So it's like the results will come. I know the offense is a bit frustrating right now, and it does kind of have some of the tones from last year's offense, but the players are just better. Like everyone talked about Gary, and his grand slam he hit, and then how he broke up Kershaw's perfect game, or the Dodgers' perfect game at that point. That take away those two, and Gary's has been very bad. Gary's OPS is like 640, 630 right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing right now, and right now his slash line is 238, 273, 429 for a 99 WRC plus. only a 4% walk rate, 45% strikeout rate. Obviously, it's early in the season,
No, but
right?
he's also it's Gary though. He runs into it. He hits the ball really hard. Gary is
Yeah,
kind of a catcher version of Joey Gallo offensively. Like he doesn't walk as much, I will say, but you know he's gonna hit a home run, hit the ball hard, or strike out. Like that's kind of how Gary is now.
yeah, and there's no like this isn't like to say Gary is a bad player rooting against
No,
Gary. This is more of like a hey, you know, considering where you were last year. And we saw this last night with the
yeah,
framing. Trevino, like
was
yes,
amazing.
that was phenomenal. Like he scored the 2 runs, somehow stole
But
a
his
base.
defense is what we got him for, and that lived up to the standard and expectations. He was
Yeah,
really
like
good.
if you replace Trevino with Sanchez there, maybe maybe you hit a home run. Maybe it's a home run. I know a lot of people say, well, the catcher offense is going to be a black hole, or like you're going to miss having a guy who can go up there and hit a home run. Yes, but I also saw my catcher steal a bunch of outs that could have potentially been runs. And
Yeah.
in terms of wins of a replacement, that gets valued a little more heavily. That value from that defense
It's
adds up.
pivotal to the team. Like
Right.
Nestor's start, that strikeout to Vlad looking, that was all Higashioka's framing. There were 3 or 4 calls in that game that were all just Higgy's framing, getting strikeouts for Nestor. And then the bullpen, like we have so many guys that have such filthy stuff that don't have a lot of control. And even with Aroldis last night, there were like no pass balls, no real cross connections to where a runner was allowed to advance. It was just Aroldis not having his shit, but Trevino still being like, hey, I'm going to frame this as best as I can and make it so this ball isn't going to get past me, or make it so we're not going to have a cross communication and I'm going to set up low and you're going to throw something 4 feet above the air. Like there are pitches like that where he'd like jump up and snag it. It's like, dude, like Gary couldn't do that.
Yeah. And ultimately, like, if the Yankee front office and a lot of public data we have with in-depth catching metrics value catchers like Trevino over Sanchez, right? You have no reason to think Sanchez is better than
Yeah,
Trevino.
we should trust them a little bit. Like,
yeah,
you know?
we got to give them some of that leeway. And, I would say as well, when it comes to this pitching staff, right? I think I think this year we have the opportunity to see maybe the best Yankee pitching staff of my lifetime, at least.
Which is crazy to say. I mean, like looking at the guys we have in the rotation, you would not think that we'd have this elite pitching staff. But now, like especially in the days past where we had like Randy Johnson, we've had Andy Pettit, Mike Messina, Hiroki Kuroda. Like we've had so many elite pitchers kind of come through in pinstripes and pitch very well for a couple of seasons and earn name stays. But this rotation can be the best we've seen. That's crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys across the board on the Yankee staff have really specialized in improving their stuff. And I know we were talking about this a little bit before the episode when it comes to stuff grades. When of course that whole model of expected
Cameron Groves, right? His pitching buff.
Yeah, Cameron Grove, phenomenal mind, makes
Dude's
great work.
Crazy, but astrophysicist, isn't he? Like, geez.
Yeah, he's a genius. I'm pretty sure he's got a PhD.
That's so crazy. That is nuts.
But stuff grades are something that stabilize really quickly, right?
Yeah.
When you look at like batting average, OPS, on base, those things don't stabilize until we're talking, like September, basically, right?
Yeah, I think
you will see guys with like an 800 OPS in July and brought to 700 in September, or a guy with a 700 OPS in July
go up to
800, right? Like we've seen these things before. But when it comes to stuff, it's hard for you to generate better stuff.
Yeah,
throughout
you can't just get it most of the time,
right? Because where do you really experiment, right? Like it's hard to experiment in game. You're trying to get out, so you're trying to go with what's comfortable. Not a lot of leeway to improve in that regard. But the Yankees have seen their guys improving stuff. Severio yesterday threw 95-mile-per-hour cutters, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, Sevi. I looked to my cousin when it happened because I watched the game at his house. I also a diehard Yankees fan. So I was like, when the hell did Sevi like learn to throw cutters all of a sudden? Like he threw a lot of cutters too. And it's like, where did this come from? Like Nestor was throwing his changeup a lot too. Like this, like Nestor usually was the 2-pitch kind of guy with that cutter fastball, and his cutter is, oh my Lord, filthy. But like now he's throwing the changeup more. He's throwing that slider more. Like all of our pitchers, it seems, have tried to improve their stuff, and I think that that's what the Yankees pitching and the Yankees like coaches have all said to do. They've all said, who cares if you can't throw it down the middle of the plate or locate perfectly. If you have good stuff, it will like show up on paper and speak for itself. That's why that's why people like Mike King, talked to Corey Kluber, and now he's throwing that slurve that's disgusting, and his sinker's got more bite on it than it's ever had. Like, there's a reason that the Yankees are doing what they're doing and have brought in the guys that they brought in. Like, I know we love to gripe on them at times for this shit and for the way they handle some things like free agent signings. I'm still not sold on IKF even after his 3-hit performance yesterday. But like, we have to trust them at some point, right? And the bullpen and the pitching speaks for itself.
And I want to talk about like some of the biggest improvements in terms of stuff. So not like just in stuff grades, in terms of like individual pitch movements. Nestor Cortez's slider, it went from 3.46 inches of horizontal movement to 9.4 inches of horizontal movement. That's ridiculous. Tyone went from 2.49 inches of horizontal movement on the slider to 4.17 and added an inch of vertical movement. So he's getting some more life in his fastball.
That's good. We've always wanted that from Tyone. That's the thing. It's always been if Tyone's fastball is on, he's going to have a good start. And if he has more life to it and has a feel for it, he's going to have a good start. And his first start, 17 swings and misses. Most out of any Yankee starting pitcher.
Yeah. Tyone's best season was when he developed his slider in 2018. 3.20 ERA. 3.46 FIP, was a top 20 starter in the league that year. Him reestablishing that slider could be the difference between talent. Last year, more of like overall in the season, I know he had his ups and downs, right? But as a collective, the season was relatively average, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Could be the difference between him going from average to well above average. And
to any team would want him as their number 2 or 3.
Right. And, even if he's not a number 2 caliber, let's say he's number 3, right? You have him, Monty, Nestor profiles,
the people's ace, Nestor Cortez,
Nestor's
baby.
Weird. Yeah, because Nestor's weird. Because at what point is it Nestor is a fun gimmick to Nestor's legitimately a really good story?
We have to be approaching that point like rapidly, right? Like this has to be a fucking collision course heard around the world. How are people still sleeping on the people's ace, Nestor Cortez? I've dubbed him that myself. I'm gonna keep saying it until people say it. But Nestor. It's one thing to be like, okay, yeah, he was a spot starter, long reliever that had flashes last year and got really lucky with batted ball luck. But it's another thing to look at his profile and see, oh, he didn't really get lucky. He's just really good. And then to see his start this season where he went out there and literally sliced through the most righty-heavy lineup and the best righty-heavy lineup.
He hasn't thrown a pitch to a lefty all year.
And he still sliced through all of them. Like he did not look feared, feared. He didn't look like he was afraid of anything. Like the at bat to Gurriel where he threw the fastball down the middle on a full count was just like, I loved it. It's just Nestor's going to be like, okay, I know I throw 92, but you don't know what I'm going to throw here. You don't know if it's going to be a cutter. You don't know if it's going to be a slider. You don't know if I'm going to quicken my delivery, if I'm going to add that little slide step into the throw. Like Nestor is just so deceptive. And he's, in my opinion, our most, I'm trying to think of a way to put this without sounding like crazy. He's our most important pitcher. If Nestor pitches well, the Yankees can afford to have one of the other guys struggle a little bit. But if Nestor doesn't pitch well, then it gets into this problem where it's like, okay, do we keep throwing Nestor out there because we want to see if he has more of the same from last year? What spot do we put him in? Do we use him in the bullpen? Do we try to do what the Cardinals did with Waka, which ultimately kind of derailed his Cardinals tenure? So it's like seeing Nestor pitch as well as he did and looking at the back end peripherals and the numbers and his spin rate and the fact that his fastball touched almost 94 for the first time ever in the at bat against Bichette. That's all what you want to see. And that is just me being 100% on board, drinking the Kool-Aid, chugging it even on Nestor Cortez. The dude is our ace. Like if the Yankees would have let him pitch, he would have gotten out of the inning. And I firmly believe that. He looked pissed when he got pulled. Pissed.
One thing I really like about Nestor that he does is...
Sorry, that was a long Nestor rant, but I just...
Nah, you're good. You're good. Hey, there's going to be one guy we're going to rant about. I think Nestor's a perfect guy to do it. It's a fan favorite.
Bronxy's best friend, dude.
Yeah. And, last year, 45 stuff ground the fastball, like relatively average to below average fastball stuff, was just really good at locating it. This year, 55 grade stuff fastball. Right now, we're talking about an above average fastball and just pure stuff. And that doesn't account for vertical approach angle, right? Mm-hmm. That's... his fastball is coming from a lower arm slot, right? Where you would think that ball is going to sink. Instead, it comes up.
And then it rises.
Right. That's added deception, right? That added deception isn't accounted for even, and that's still above average stuff, right? Like we're talking about a fastball, and we're talking about a pitcher really, where I really do think that Nestor has the opportunity to be a mid-3, low-3 ERA starter
Oh,
over a
of
full
course.
season. And if that's another guy added to a list of Cole, who's probably
He'll figure his shit
yes.
out. I'm not worried at all about Cole.
You give Garrett Cole a full season, 162 games, 30 plus starts. Garrett
He's
Cole
going to
is
have
going
180 innings, 190 innings
Yeah.
minimum.
You're going to be looking, and when you look at for him on the WAR leaderboards for pitchers, he's 1, 2, or 3. He's always going to be somewhere around there.
That's why I hate the people that are like, "Oh, Garrett Cole overpaid number 3 starter." Garrett Cole is. I know his start right now is definitely not what Yankees fans had imagined, but you take away Vlad, and he carved through that Blue Jays lineup, and then you take away his terrible fucking Billy Crystal shit, and he would have been fine against Boston after those first 3 or 4 hitters. So it's like I'm not too worried. I just think Garrett needs to settle down a little bit, pick his pitches better. Like the one home run that bounced off the wall to Vladdy, that was I want to say it was the double. It looked like a double because it hit like the concrete behind the padding.
Apparently there was some wall behind it. So.
Yeah. So is that a home run? I don't know, but like either way, the pitch was terrible. He hung a slider to Vladdy. Like what? Middle slider at like 88. I know it's a great slider because it's got break, but when you hang a slider to Vladdy, it's going to the moon. And that was his worst hit of the night that day. And then you look at the fastball he hit. That was like, I forget who posted that. Maybe it was Eli Fishman that posted it and said there have been like 2,300 pitches in that spot, like that exact same pitch, roughly in that exact same spot. That was the first one that's ever been hit for a home run. So it's like Vladdy is just generational. That's less on Cole and more on Vladdy. So I'm not worried about GC. The train's going to be getting out of the station. It's just, faltering a little bit with gas prices and everything. He's taking his time getting out of the station. Then we hit the open country, and he's Cy Young campaign if Nestor doesn't steal it from him.
And, Cole is going to be – he's going to be one of the top pitchers in the American League for sure, right? Of course. And then you look at the rest rotation, and that's really been the whole thing. Like, what is the rest of rotation going to look like? And I look at Severino yesterday. I look at him last night. I'm like, I think it's there. I really think it's
absolutely.
I really do think it's there, right? Like Severino, if you look at his projections, adore him right now. Like,
and
absolutely
they should.
Adore
his
him.
Stuff is great right now.
Yeah, like Steamer updated after they have like a rest of season kind of thing, like an update, right? Based on like any important, I guess to adjust for any new inputted stuff that's coming from this season and kind of weighing it, right? Luis Severino is projected to be roughly a top 10 starter in baseball this year at this point.
You can't forget Luis Severino's Cy Young years. Like before he was hurt, the guy was elite.
Pitcher. He's projected to be the 8th best pitcher in fielding independent pitching among starters.
And FIP's huge. I love FIP a lot more than I do ERA.
And he's projected to be the 8th best in ERA as well. So it actually matches up really
and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see the guys that have a 3.2 ERA and a 4.8 FIP because that's not good. That means that they're getting lucky. Right. But you do want to see the guys that have a 2.9 FIP, 2.9 ERA. Like that shows that you're not getting lucky. You're doing the things you're supposed to do. Like Nestor, 2.7 ERA, 3.5 FIP on his career or since 2021. Those are what you want to see. With Sevy, when he was elite, his FIP and ERA were both low 3s. Like the numbers show that he can be good. And so far this season, especially with his intensity, like the dude was pumped up. And I don't know what it is that it's game 7, but it feels like postseason baseball. Like every game means so much.
And that strikeout was that I got chills. Like I was actually in the movie theater, and I saw the changeup. And
you're watching it on your phone in the movie. You're one of those people. You know what? Everyone, go ahead and when Ryan Garcia ESM's back on Twitter, go ahead and bombard him with "You're one of those fuckers." Come on, in the middle of the movie, Ryan.
No, I'm not even joking. It was like an empty. Like it was literally just.
Oh, was it Batman?
My dad. No, it was Sonic 2. My little brother's
okay,
huge
well
Sonic
there you
fan,
go.
So I went.
It makes a little bit more sense now.
Yeah, I went to go be there for them.
Be supportive. I love that.
Great people.
What a guy. What a guy.
But I stopped watching after this. I just was like kind of checking on the game day after. I just needed to see Sevy, right? I needed to make sure everything was good, right? I saw that strikeout. I saw chills, like actual chills.
And then he was
almost shed. I almost shed a tear. When I saw that, almost shed a tear, man. Almost shed a tear.
Get back in there. It's
was
like the cloudy with the chance of meatballs.
Yes, and it's just I'm like my dad just like giving me like a weird look. He's like, you're crying over a Sonic movie. He's like, no.
You're crying over a Sonic movie.
You gotta see this, man. This is beautiful stuff right here. I'm watching art.
Amazing. It's like that. I saw a meme about Morbius, and someone like edited it to say it got 212% on Rotten Tomatoes. And there was like fucking like Jared Leto reaffirms his status as a global superstar in this modern cinematic masterpiece.
That movie I've seen
Sonic's on that level.
I will never watch that movie.
Oh, it looks awful. Looks awful. I mean, they're calling it Midbius for a reason.
Yeah. I will say I did like watching Sonic too. I will say like it was pretty solid. Like
no, I love Jim Carrey. Like, Jim Carrey's awesome.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's fun. But,
and then they got Idris Elba to do fucking what? Didn't they get him to do Knuckles?
I think they did.
I think so, yeah. But either way, back to the Yankees. Yeah, Severino, dude, he looked good. Chills. And like I know it's like again small sample size right now for everyone, of course. Seiya Suzuki has a fucking 272 WRC plus, which is funny because his ex-Woba is lower than Joey Gallo's, who has I believe a 79 WRC plus. So that's why we don't look at early sample sizes as the end all be all, and we shouldn't just lose our shit over players struggling, and we also shouldn't lose our shit over players going like berserk to start the year. Like I think we remember when Trevor Story got called up to replace Jose Reyes when he got injured for the Rockies like 7 years ago, and he hit like 11 home runs in the first 2 weeks, and then the rest of the year he hit like 10.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, when we do look at small sample size, I think a perfect example is Trevor Story to start the year. Similar, really just a similar player to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Oh my lord,
$140 million. Honestly, another, Jose Trevino, 500 average. 500
best catcher in baseball, wouldn't you?
Yeah, say? Like realistically, like I've never seen like he just has grit. Like he's the guy. Here's
a guy.
Now this is a guy with grit, man. He's got it. He's
got the it factor. But I want to wrap up the episode here, touching on touching on the O series.
Yeah,
OJ series. If you guys haven't seen the new OJ series of Mind and Do a Kill, no. The O series. We have to sweep, right? We have to sweep the O's.
We have Monty on the bump. Then we have Tyone and then Nestor. I like having those like.
Okay, I like that. I like Nestor closing the series before the off day, and then we got Cole starting against the Tigers. I like that. It's a tone setter.
I will say too, like, dude, it feels good to like. Okay, I'm confident in who I have on the mound starting. It's not like it's
1 through 5, and I'm confident in the bullpen guys.
Yeah, like I remember, like when J Happ was on the mound, I'd be like, it's J Happ, or it's Sonny
Same with Phil Hughes at the end, AJ Burnett at the end.
Maybe one of these guys don't pan out, right? Like I'm not saying it's a hunt. All 5 of these guys are gonna be really good every single day, but it feels good to know that you have a good chance to win that baseball game based on who's on the mound.
The only problem is just them not going deep into the games, and for some of it, it's pitch count monitoring, and then some of it, it's like they do have like 80 pitches through 4, but like next week and the week after that, we will see Cole, Tyone, Nestor, Monty. If they're pitching well, be allowed to pitch into the 6th, 7th inning. Like, no question.
Yeah.
It's all about workload, shortened spring training. I mean, we can touch on this briefly. Kershaw got pulled from his perfect game. People were outraged. They definitely, I think, should have left him in. But Kershaw then comes on and says, after, I didn't even ramp up a full workload. I didn't do any baseball activities over a lockout, and I pitched 1 simulated game. So it's like, it makes sense that they pulled him because at the end of the day, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But Passan touched on it perfectly. There's only been 23 perfect games in MLB history. Kershaw does that. He is no doubt, in my opinion, the best pitcher to ever pitch in MLB.
Hey, look,
he's done everything else. He's got everything else you could ever need in the number 1 pitcher of all time, except the perfect game.
I will say, if Kershaw wanted to stay in that game, then it's different. But if he didn't want to stay,
it seems like he didn't want to.
If he didn't want to stay in the game, if he really didn't feel like he was ready, that's fine, right? Like if he didn't stay in and that's why I got pulled.
I think he was just afraid to face Gary for the 4th time.
I don't know.
It's got to be that.
I will say, I think really the big fear here is, a guy like Ryan Jeffers, a real stand-up guy, blue collar.
Blue collar. Oh my god.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I don't even know what Ryan Jeffers is hitting on the year. Like, imagine he has like a
I think
1,000
he's
OPS.
OPSing 1600. No, I'm just kidding. I
This
think he's
dude.
also in the Gary boat
Oh,
where he's not doing too well.
yeah, 423 OPS.
Yeah, yeah.
Real, just blue collar worker. Not making it about
Hard
himself.
worker, always
Yeah.
goes out there, competes to the fullest of his abilities.
Yeah,
Just a guy
gotta love.
a guy that your mother would love as a baseball player.
Exactly. And definitely, this type of guy that when if I have a daughter, I would let my daughter. I
I'd
would
let
be
my daughter
willing to have
date
Ryan Jeffers. Yeah,
Ryan
exactly.
Jeffers. Yeah,
Yeah, of
absolutely.
course.
I'd let my daughter date every Yankee except for no, I'd let my daughter date every Yankee except for maybe Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, dude. There's like going to be a point in time. Like, imagine like,
Josh
this,
Donaldson's off the market. He's fucking mine. No, I'm just kidding.
imagine like Ryan Jeffers. Oh, and also Herman and Chapman are just off the board. Like,
Yeah, I was about to say Herman. There we go. My bad. I don't know how I blanked on
Yeah.
it. Herman and Chapman.
Off
If
the
you guys
board.
come near my girl or my daughter,
I do not want I never. But
keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth.
it's gonna be
Herman and
interesting.
Chapman.
Like, if I like really hope Ryan Jeffers isn't doing stupid like after it. Like, if like a year from now Ryan Jeffers like comes out to be a terrible person after we just like blue collar guy, great
Dude,
guy.
it's
Like,
like,
I have
it's
no.
like
I
the
like
search like for Hicks where it's like domestic
Zero.
terrorist Ryan Jeffers.
There's like I have done zero background.
He's on the no-fly list the next year.
Ryan Jeffers is like secretly been committing like war crimes in different countries.
Yes, he's like helping Russia like invade Ukraine as we speak.
Yeah, we're just gonna need Ryan Jeffers to be on the good person RBW.
I mean, I will say
RBW,
I
good
did not
person
expect
trade.
Fireside Yankees to be a Ryan Jeffers screw you account. No,
We got speaking of Ryan, like they got Joe Ryan on the bump shoving.
he pitched very well today.
Nick Pivetta, what happened? I thought
what happened?
Nick Pivetta, what happened? I thought you were supposed to be better than Luis Severino. He wouldn't even make our pitching staff. He's not
Damn
even
right
better
he
than
wouldn't.
Clark Schmidt.
But Tanner Houck would.
Yeah, Tanner Houck.
Tanner Houck. Yeah, we can go ahead and appreciate Tanner Houck. But however, you know what we can appreciate is that Tanner Houck still can't pitch past the fourth inning.
Yep.
So
the
first two times through the lineup, Tanner Houck is going to be the best pitcher you've ever seen. By the third time, it's going to be like, well, this is BP. He can't find the zone. He walked like 4 batters in the third and fourth inning. He could not find the zone. And then against Donaldson, it was just like absolute torment. Like my boy JD needs to get his shit going, dude. I think he will tonight. I think tonight's the day. Against the O's, not a very difficult pitching staff to maneuver around if you're Donaldson. And a guy that loves his craft as much as he does. I know I keep saying it, but like for a guy that loves his craft, you have to be pissed at seeing these results, right?
Yeah, I think he's gonna get himself amped up and just kind of ready to go.
We should pitch around Mullins and pitch around Hayes because those two, for whatever reason, screw with the Yankees. Austin Hayes, I could be wrong, but I swear to God, Austin Hayes kills the Yankees.
He hit like that huge home run off of Green. I remember that. But honestly, with Hayes, just like if you have a righty, just like throw breaking balls away.
Yeah,
like,
just make him swing and miss.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. JP Sears, he made his debut. Big narrative guy.
Well.
Ron Marinaccio, big narrative.
Dude, Ron Marinaccio, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Get Ron Marinaccio in the 7th inning situation. That dude has some of the most disgusting stuff on the team.
Dude, and then like King.
His slider is way better than Cole's.
His slider is ridiculous. He throws from like a weird angle. So like
that's why it's crazy. Like you look at him, it kind of reminds me Cishek-esque, but not fully submarine.
You know what's crazy about Marinaccio? Like this is actually insane. So like usually when you talk about guys with like a lot of vertical movement on their fastball, they don't have a lot of horizontal movement because like run and rise, right? It's kind of a different thing where like you got to change your spin axis. He's got 7.6 inches of horizontal movement on his fastball cut, like not cuts, because you run, and then 10 inches of rise. So it's cutting
just like
and
moving
running
around.
Yeah, it's cutting and like rising. So it's like I know Garrett.
It's a nightmare to try to swing in time.
Yeah,
you can't sit there and sit on that pitch because of how it moves. It's the same with Clay Holmes' sinker, where it's like you don't know where it's gonna go, regardless of if it's the same pitch.
Yeah, you know, like how Garrett Cole's fastball kind of has like that, like it looks like a fastball two-seamer hybrid.
Yeah, it like kind of cuts at the end.
It gets a lot of run like that.
Yeah,
like
at the end of the back end.
Yeah, and it's only getting 5.8. Now that's a lot. Obviously, I'm not saying only as if that's bad, but Marinaccio's getting 7.6, and
that's the thing. His stuff is so good. So give him a big spot. I know it's crazy because he's a rookie, yes, but imagine this headline like Ron Marinaccio, like Tom's River boy, just goes up there and pitches 60 innings for the Yankees in a 7th, 6th innings like spot and pitches well. Like that's a story that like writes itself. Hometown kid comes through the system, gets a start as a rookie, and dominates his first season. Like that's
Yeah,
some shit dreams are made of.
and he's got a high ground ball rate so far. I know that's not going to sustain itself.
No, but you want that. You want more of that than
Yeah.
a high fly ball rate.
And he's a high fly ball pitcher in the minor leagues, but that was when he was also striking out like 40% of batters. So if he's gonna like strike out 40% of batters, that's great, right? And the Yankee bullpen it's just so deep where it's just so good. Like it's so good.
I don't know how much we're gonna see them in this Baltimore series. I do hope that our starters are kind of given more of a leash because this offense isn't as potent as the last two we just saw. And knowing that we have a day off on Monday, maybe we let our guys go, or maybe we just empty the pen a lot more because we know we have that off day coming up. But I think we have to get a sweep this series. If we don't sweep the O's, we're going to have – and because that sets up the Tigers series, which is a much more important series in terms of the competition we're going to face. So it's like if we don't sweep the O's, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And I think one big thing is I want the Yankees to put up a lot of runs so that I can see Schmidt or Sears get more innings.
Marinaccio, because that's apparently how they're using him.
And also because stuff grades for them, they're not public if they don't have 50 pitches. So I need them to hit that 50 pitch threshold. You know, like
we need to get them working.
Lickey's literally like 3 pitches away from having
Lickey's stuff is fucking insane. His slider, that one slider he threw to I want to say it was Devers.
Yes. That buckler. It was
like top of the zone.
Tapia,
and then the framing as well. Yeah, the Tapia one was like God. To be fair, I love that Tapia was their 5-hole hitter. Powerhouse hitter, Raimel Tapia.
That's like one of their only Biggio's their best left-handed hitter.
And he's bad.
He doesn't even play.
No, I'm saying it right now. Like I don't care if Kevin Biggio watches this podcast. Kevin Biggio is a very bad hitter. Kevin Biggio, if you throw it in the zone, he's not going to get a hit. The only thing he's really good at is seeing pitches and not swinging at bad pitches. But if you throw it in the zone, Kevin Biggio is not going to get a hit. And part of the reason he gets so shit on by me is because he was in that same echelon when he came up with Bichette and Vlad. Unfair to him, yes. But it's like, Kevin, when you're a 230 hitter, 220 hitter, with not a lot of power, not a lot of offense, doesn't steal bases, meh defensively, and all his main tool is discipline, I'm not sold.
That's fair. And, I like personally,
and Espinal took a spot.
Yeah, I was a fan of him. I thought Biggio was going to make it, but it seems like without the juice balls, his power's not there. And another thing as well, at what point, he lost his job to Espinal, and they really just don't have any left-handed hitting. And I'm not
before yesterday, he had 4 bats.
Yeah, I'm not saying you need left-handed hitting to go out and win a World Series. We saw the Astros in 2017; they were killing it with a lot of right-handed hitters. But you're not helping yourself when you don't you're not the Yankee bullpen has so many good right-handed relievers where you can handle them pretty easily. We saw that in this series. Hopefully that continues, and I'm just excited to see the Yankees go out tonight. Hopefully they put up a lot of runs. Montgomery gets a little bit of a bounce
big
back
statement
to
game.
help your knee. Yeah.
If we can get Monty run support for once to start the game, that would be awesome. I know it's probably way too much to ask for whatever reason, but if we're up 5-0, 4-0 in the fourth, I'm gonna be thrilled.
And the Yankees had such a strong start to the season.
Yeah.
They left such a strong impression that projections had the Yankees winning the American League East now for in season. They had the
I think they can do it, dude.
Yeah, the Yankees are the second best. The best team in the American League. Excuse me. Why did I see the Braves as an American League team? I was like, no, what? But classic. Right now it's Dodgers, Braves, Mets. Now Braves, Mets, Yankees are all at 92 wins. Jays are at 91. Padres at 90 in terms of their projected win totals. Okay. Dodgers at 94. Now this is obviously a little bit low balling for everyone, but you don't want to. There's not really any team that's like a true talent 100 win team right now. A lot of these teams, you're going to need a little bit of injury luck, not getting hurt, staying out there, having some guys break out, right? Just having a lot of positive,
the usuals,
variation,
the uncontrollables.
Yeah, that's basically what determines, a true talent 95 win team from going out and winning 85 games or winning 100 games, right?
I mean, again, people with this team's so much better than last year. I already enjoy watching this team a lot more than last year's team. No gripe to last year's team at all. But we have to remember, if not for that 13-game winning streak, the Yankees were like an 83, 84-win team.
Yeah. And
this year, I think that there's no world in which we're an 83, 84-win team at any point in this year, unless 2 or 3 of our guys get injured. Like last year, it was just guys could not hit outside of Judge and Stanton. This year, it's like, hey, Rizzo's carrying the offense. IKF and Trevino yesterday carried the entire offense. And our pitching is once again continuing on of last year's success. and the bullpen is so good. Like, if we can just score 5-6 runs a game rather than the 2 or 3 we've been putting up, I'm gonna be all on board with this team.
Yeah, this team goes out and averages, if this team goes out and averages like a little under 5 runs a game, they're gonna be a dominant team.
Exactly.
That's how good the pitching is. We saw yesterday, right? Chapman melted down, and in any other year, Chapman melting down would have been, he would have stayed in the game.
Yeah, and we would have lost.
Kicked. Right, like Angels game, Mets game, where he melted down, and then he didn't get taken out until he completely blew the game.
And then, of course, postseason moments for Aroldis as well, where it's like you give up a base runner or 2, and then they just keep letting him try to figure it out.
And it's to no fault of like Boone. You got to try to trust your closer, but you also didn't have the there's no, hey, let me get Michael King up. Like there's no let me get Michael King up then. Right now we have the Yankees could have gone to King. They could have gone to Marinaccio.
They could have gone to Wandy.
Yeah, they could have gone to Wandy, right? They could have done whatever they could have. There's 3 guys there who are I'd say Marinaccio is
probably the lowest of them all. Yeah,
right. But King and Wandy specifically, right? We saw this last year against the Braves, right? Like he can come in high leverage,
and he's a high leverage guy now. Like he wants to be a high leverage guy.
King proved last night he is 100% a high leverage guy.
He is that guy, pal.
He is disgusting. That guy. We talked about that. I talked about it in the video today.
Yeah, I love that breakdown. For those of you that are watching this, go check that breakdown of Michael King's start. I mean, not Michael King's start. Michael King's saving grace. There we go.
Yeah,
all hail the King.
He's phenomenal. And then Marinaccio. I mean, Marinaccio being like when you look at a pool of relievers and you go Marinaccio, Sears, and Schmidt are the worst in that group, and you look at what they've done so far and how they project and how their stuff looked last year compared to now. Right, for at least Schmidt's stuff got a lot better because he's just healthy now.
But we're looking really good.
Yeah, Schmidt put up a 3.8 ERA against Boston in that outing against a pretty good Boston lineup, 2 2/3 innings. Right, how if he's a 3.8 ERA pitcher,
that's fine.
And that's your worst pitcher.
That's fine.
Like you've got a lot of good problems.
Like
right?
people have to realize how good a 3.8 ERA is. I believe MLB average ERA is what, a 4.3, 4.4. So it's like if you pitch to a 3.8 ERA, you are very good. And if that's our worst guy, we can win the World Series.
Yeah, like his ERA it wasn't 3.8, it was 3.38. I'm sorry. So it was even better than
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was 14% better than league average. That's ridiculous. Like 86 ERA minus is like, and obviously small sample size, I'm not saying but Schmidt had a strong spring. I'm excited to see how he looks. AP Sears projects very well, projects to be a 3.46 ERA guy in terms of his steer projections for the year. He had an outing, pretty good outing. Not going to go crazy over it because it was 1 inning, but when you project,
at least he got that out of the way, He got tossed in.
Yeah, when you project well, right, and you are a reliever in this bullpen, I have no reason to believe that you can't perform to those
you got to believe it. You got to trust it.
And he was really good last year as a starter, right? Came in throwing 95, 96 with extension, so he gets 6.7 feet of extension, which should help him. Well, I definitely think that's interesting to get. If you get a lot of extension on your fastball, it means you're going to be throwing harder in terms of your perceived velocity.
Exactly.
Which is great. And so, so far pitching's looking good. Hitting's going to get better with the
it's got to get better.
Yeah, with just guys hitting the ball hard and it going through.
We can't possibly have Joey Gallo slug like 185 all season despite having an expected slugging of like 700.
I would be shocked if he maintained such a ridiculously high.
He's got. I think tonight he gets a home run. I think the 2 long shots from tonight come from he and Aaron Hicks, and then I think Donaldson almost gets one, gets a double, and gets a hit. I know Donaldson wants a home run because it's basically this has been one of the longer stretches of games that he hasn't hit home run, and he hasn't really elevated the ball. So I want him to hit the home run, but I don't think he's going to tonight. So I think Rizzo, Gallo, Hicks, those guys are going to be tormenting the Orioles this series.
So I wanted to touch up back on that point I made about extension because I know I literally just pulled it up now. For all left-handed relievers so far this year, Sears' perceived velocity on a sinker is the 7th highest amongst all left-handed pitchers at 96.3 miles per hour, comparable to guys. And if you just look at everyone as a total, we're talking righties, lefties, similar perceived velocity to guys like Sandy Alcantara, Zach Wheeler, right? Like that's special. That's good stuff right there.
Alcantara is elite.
Like,
that dude, yesterday, he didn't get the strikeouts yesterday. He only got 2 strikeouts yesterday, but he pitched 6 innings. And in the 5th inning, he was getting hit. And then he came back out in the 6th and threw another scoreless inning. I like
I
Sandy
like him a
Alcantara a
lot.
lot. That
I
Marlins
like
rotation is elite, dude. Jesus Lizard, my guy, absolute electric in his absolutely electric in his debut for the Marlins this season. He pitched 5 innings, 12 strikeouts, like, and his stuff grade was like 65.
yeah,
And
I'm really
his
excited.
slider or his curveball was like a 75 grade. Like, it was filthy. So I don't know, dude. And seeing that Alcantara is mentioned in the same group as JP Sears is,
And velocity is
yeah,
remarkable.
that's great. That's great
Amazing.
company to be involved with.
Yeah, they throw hard, and that's what the Yankees prioritize, and it's good. And hopefully, and it's worked so far. Hopefully, that
Yeah.
continues throughout the season, and we just see the bats get better. Defenses look good. Everything's looks good enough.
Some stuff's
right?
a bit spotty. Like yesterday, we
Yeah,
had that one inning with Sevy where it's like, what is happening?
right.
Like the
But
double, and then of course the double play with Glaber where he didn't turn it.
yeah,
Some yips, but nothing that's like too out of the ordinary. And we have been playing better as a whole. The
and
catching defense, the framing is the biggest improvement, and that has literally cost our opposings it has cost our opposition like 7 or 8 outs because of how good our catchers are framing.
and Glaber, man, it's only a 12.5% ground ball rate so far.
No, he's elevating.
Barrel rate,
And DJ
90.1%.
DJ two bags elevating, dude. Everyone's hitting
Yeah.
under the ball. It's
Everything's
good.
looking like, some of the guys. Hicks has had a strong start to the year. I know everyone was ragging on the guy.
I don't know why you can. Hicks, it's hard because when Hicks looks bad, he looks really bad. But when Hicks looks good, he looks like a top 5 player in baseball.
When he looks good, he looks like what the Yankees have always wanted in the middle of their lineup.
He's gonna see pitches. He's gonna work at bats. He's a switch hitter. He plays good defense. But my only problem with Hicks, and my biggest problem with Hicks, I've written like 7 articles for Empire Sports Media about why I still love Aaron Hicks. But my only problem with Hicks is that he takes pitches that he should not take, and then he swings at pitches that he should not swing at. It's so easy to say it, but like it's one thing to work great at bats and to foul off hard pitches, but it's another thing to see 2 or 3 fastballs and hanging sliders and then not swing at them, and then swing at a slider in the dirt, swing at the cutter in the hands, and ground out.
Yeah,
that's what's frustrating about Hicks, is that he's all about the walk.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes he's like, there's always that one pitch he should never be swinging at that he swings at elite, and it's weird. But then he'll have like
then he'll work 5 more pitches in the at bat, and it's okay.
You'll see him just like take some make incredible takes, like 0-2 take on a nasty breaking ball, and he just lays off. And like, what? You just swung at a fastball like 50 feet above.
I know. It's like, what's happening? What is this?
It's like, how did you do that?
I know. He's truly a crazy player. He is a very good baseball player. Don't get me wrong. And I think that today he's going to be good in this series. I think we see him honestly maybe 2 out of 3 games, maybe all 3. Because Hicks is one of these guys that he's a very, very big part of this team. We've talked about this. If Hicks plays well, the Yankees are going to do much better as a whole. Because when you don't have that hole in center field, when we already have kind of punted on 2 positions offensively, that's huge. And Hicks, if he bats well and we can use him in the 5, 6, 7, that's all we need. Like if Josh Donaldson keeps sucking and keeps struggling, we can move him down and move Hicks up if Hicks's results keep going the way they are. That's what I like about this lineup, is Hicks playing well gives the lineup so much more flexibility.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's a matter of the guys who are supposed to bounce back. Can they bounce back?
Yeah,
right. That's
exactly.
If they do, we'll be fine.
Exactly,
and that's what they've done so far, and we've been pretty good so far. So
I'm loving the start, dude. I'm excited for the games tonight. I'm excited for the series because I think, again, this is also, if anyone bets out there, try to bet for this series. I don't know if you do a futures bet for the series, whatever. Maybe tonight or tomorrow. Gleyber Torres is going to go yard, no doubt. The dude absolutely owns the Orioles. Like his splits against the Orioles, I think he OPS is like 1,000 against the Orioles. Like he is insanely good against Baltimore, and it's in Camden. It's basically Judge's second home.
He kills lefties. I know Lyles is up. Lyles actually shoved against us in Texas last year.
I know. That's why. But I'm not worried because it's like.
But Tyone versus.
It was the same with Kikuchi.
Wells.
When we saw Kikuchi, I'm like, his stuff isn't nearly as good as some of the other pitchers. We should be able to see him well, and we railed Kikuchi. Kikuchi did not pitch well against us at all.
I think another guy to jump on is Tyler Wells. He did not pitch well in his start. He could struggle against the Yankees a little bit.
So I think we should easily take 3 of 3 against Baltimore, and if we don't, we'll be kind of pissed.
I agree. There's no reason to not to. So
we're too good of a team not to,
and they're not good enough of a team to not. So
exactly.
The Rays took 3 of them against them, and then dropped the series to the Athletics.
And that's big because now I believe the Rays are 4-3 on the year.
Yeah, so if we can,
we're in a 3-way tie for first right now, and if we sweep Baltimore, we'll all of a sudden be 7-3 going into the series against Detroit.
Yeah, get on a roll here, right? Use that. You have a situation where I'm going to try to pull up the Yankees' schedule for April. But the Yankees are in a because they lost that series against the Astros that they're going to make up at some point in the season because of the
Yeah.
lockout, where they're going to have Orioles, Detroit, Cleveland, Orioles, Royals, Texas, Blue Jays, Texas, right? Go on a roll, establish yourself as the best team in the American League East, at least record-wise, right? Roll into that next time you play the Blue Jays, ready to go, ready to get some action going. You have 3 games against them, then you have 2 against them. I guess it's a makeup day. That's kind of weird. Then you have the White Sox, Orioles, Rays. Like, schedule's not crazy.
No, that's the thing. Like, and with the White Sox kind of pitching gripes right now with their injuries, I do think we can go in there and steal a couple against the White Sox very easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Like them losing both Lynn and Giolito hurts. So
they lost Giolito?
Yeah.
What? Oh my gosh! Wait.
I think last week Giolito was pulled from a start with discomfort, and they put him.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, the White Sox are struggling. That's why I think that's why they're so heavily linked to Montes right now. Yeah, but the problem for them is that they haven't pulled Trig yet, because Montes just threw a 6-inning gem, and now they really want. Yeah,
they're never going to pull off the price.
But that's the thing. If they had, that's what's crazy, because if Montes went out there and threw 6 innings or 4 innings and gave up 6 runs and 3 home runs, I know this is crazy, but I think that it's less likely Vaughn is as heavily wanted as if Montes went out there and shoved like he did.
Or if they get him at the deadline, they may wait. Cleveland has played pretty well.
I don't know what the hell's going on over there, dude. What's in the water in Cleveland?
I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Cleveland puts it together, man, like,
maybe they're a guy that's in on it.
Yeah, I do not want to get off to a slow. Like, they're having not a slow start. They're 4-2, but like, I wouldn't want to get off to a bad start. So I think they'll be like one of the first teams to make a move.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll see with them.
I don't know, man.
But yeah,
lots to watch for this weekend. Very excited. And then we can do an episode on Monday. We'll do a little series recap and then a look ahead to the Tigers series, which can be, in my opinion, pitching matchup galore.
Some young guys,
have really good guys. We're gonna have Scooble. Erod is going to make his familiar return to the Yankees. Mize, and then Matt Manning.
Yeah,
it's last thing real quick. I think that is really weird. The Tigers pitching staff is the complete opposite of the Yankees pitching staff in terms of how not their pitching staff, like their pitching coaches and what they tell their pitchers.
Yeah,
like the Yankees are all about and the Tigers literally have said to like Mize, Manning, even Erod now and Scooble, like, just locate your stuff and get groundouts. Don't worry about strikeouts. Whereas with the Yankees, it's like, just go up there and shove your best shit and you'll get strikeouts and no one's going to be able to touch you.
And look, I would say that I don't love the idea of telling a guy like Mize to not get Ks.
Oh, I agree. I think it's a bad idea, but it's good to say, hey, don't worry about it. If you don't strike someone out, it's okay. But at the same time, it's also like, dude, you want them to not pitch to contact. You want them to
manage the launch angle of the ball, basically. You don't want them
pitch to soft contact. Get him on top of things. That's why his splitter is such a good pitch.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten 3 strikeouts in his game, in his debut. I think he pitched again and he only got 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, he hasn't been striking out guys this year.
All the strikeouts I want to say are coming off of his splitter right now. Splitter and his sinker.
Yeah, and it's a matter of for the Yankees against teams like the Orioles and Tigers, they don't have these guys who can go out and strike out 10 guys in a game. Take advantage of that.
And the Yankees, with as good of hard contact as they make, they should easily be able to hit these guys well, because they're not pitching elite stuff with elite movement. They're not like the Blue Jays rotation where they have, or the Red Sox rotation of bullpen with Whitlock, where they have these guys that throw absolute filth. Like, it's like, okay, these are manageable pitchers, except for Scooble, who I think has really good stuff. And I still am very high on Casey Mize. But it's not like, oh, these guys have stuff that break 42 inches off the plate and they're going to make you swing and miss like a pool noodle.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the lineup for the Yankees tonight. They have Rizzo, Stanton, Donaldson, Gallo. No Judge today. They have
you got the day off, which makes sense.
Yeah. LeMahieu, Torres, Hicks, IKF, and Higashioka going up against Jordan Lyles.
We should be able to hit him.
Look, let's just be real here, right? Gotta do a job. Right?
You got to score at least 5 or 6 runs minimum. If you don't score 5 or 6 runs and beat the Orioles by a couple, like, what's going on?
Yeah, go out there, do a job, win a baseball game, and move on.
Right.
So, I think that's a good place for us to
Yeah, I think
wrap
that's a
up
great
here.
ending point.
Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hope you guys like the new look. I think the new look it's phenomenal.
It's muy fuego. That means very
Yeah, it
fire
really
in
is.
Spanish.
Of course. Yeah. So, let's go Yankees. Hopefully, this Orioles series can put on a little bit of can flex their
Let's go,
muscle a little
baby.
bit. And,
Rep the
thank you guys so
Bronx,
much.
baby. Let's do it.
See you later.